What's happening over at Ham Radio Deluxe? Let's talk about it in today's video newsletter. I'm Mike, Whiskey Alpha 9, Papa India Echo with Ham Radio Deluxe. If you find this video useful, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. Okay, we get questions about what's going on at Ham Radio Deluxe, and it's a good question, fair question. So we're going to talk through some of the things that are happening here, but I want to quickly go back and review because some folks may have not seen the previous video newsletter. But if I'm thinking about where we are in the development timeline, we're working on the 6.9 rewrite of Logbook. And what I'm trying to depict in this image here is that all of these things culminate with a version 7 that should come later. But for right now, the 6.9 rewrite, which is what we're working on now, is for Logbook. The 6.10 rewrite will be rig control. And then DM780, which is version 6.11, would be the rewrite for DM780. Then rotator control and satellite tracking you can see in version 6.12 and 6.13. When those are done, we'll be able to add some additional things, and that'll culminate in, like I said, version 7. But we're quite some distance from version 7, so I want to talk about what's going on with Logbook version 6.9. And the primary objective with Logbook version 6.9 was to eliminate Microsoft Access. We've done that, but as we got into it, we found out that there was a lot of code really that goes back to Windows XP and so on, in versions of Microsoft code that really wasn't very helpful for us. So we decided and made a decision to rewrite it in such a way that when all the applications are done, they'll all work in a multi-platform environment, meaning they'll work on Windows, they'll work on Mac, they'll work on Linux, and so on. So each of the applications, as they're being rewritten, developers will understand this, but it's all C++ code. But the visualizations had previously been done primarily with Microsoft MFC or Microsoft Foundation classes, and then it's being rewritten with Qt, which is more of an open source, or more of a open platform, more common application. So in this video, I'm going to take us through what's going on with version 6.9, and we'll talk through it. So let me pull up that screen. Okay, before I get into this, and you can kind of look at the screen here, this is version 6.9 running on one of our test machines. And the developers every day will go into this test machine and they'll update their changes from the day. We're at August of 2024. This development's basically been going on since something in early 2023, call it February was our last release. And yeah, I'm really pretty anxious to get this out. I get email from people saying, hey, you need to tell us what's going on. And as much as I don't like doing status updates that say we're still working on it, we are still working on it, but we're getting pretty close. And I'm going to go through some of the things that we're working on that stand between us and getting a beta out. And so all of the work that's going into this, and see if maybe I can pull up a screenshot of this here in a second, but each day the developers post their updates, and they're working pretty much 6 days a week. Over the course of the last, since early 2024, we've put in a little over 20,000 hours of development, and they don't work for free. So if you take whatever your hourly rate is and multiply it times 20,000, that's what we've paid them to do the work. And honestly, there's not enough money coming in through HRD sales to pay for it. So when that happens, then my wife and I get out the checkbook and we add money to the fund so we can get it done. So But it is moving along. We haven't slowed it down, but if renewals slow down, it could slow down development. We don't want that to happen. So for those of you who email me and say, well, I'm not buying another renewal until you do a release. Well, if everybody did that, we'd pretty much have to shut the thing down. So we do use some of that the funds to continue development, but the renewals help. But then again, there's no required annual payment here. So if you don't want to buy the renewal, don't buy the renewal. That's okay. But just please keep using the software. We'll get the update out. And so what you're looking at here is version 6.9, and there's a few things I guess worth pointing out here. Just going into it, and I'll hit the topics that I'm working with the developers on that are between us and getting a beta out. But first thing is, you can see down here, this is SQLite. It's not, this is where my cursor is. SQLite, it's not Access. You can still use any of the other MariaDB or SQLite, or sorry, MySQL, MS SQL if you want. If I open a QSL, you can see that a lot of things, and I've gone over this before, but in case folks haven't watched the video, there's support for POTA, SOTA, worldwide flora and fauna. All the uploads are consolidated on a single tab now. All the QSLing is consolidated on a single tab now. All that makes it a lot easier to use, frankly. Those are the major changes under My Station and or Location. We've added all of the ADIF fields that were previously missing. So it's fully up to date with the current ADIF standards, and we've got a method now to basically keep that up to date as we go along. So we won't be so far for getting those kinds of updates done. So you also see up here that you can have the RX and TX frequency. So if you're working split, it'll log both the RX and TX frequencies. If you're working satellites, it'll record both the uplink and downlink frequencies. And so we tried to be thoughtful and go through the whole thing and get it done. And so that's what you see in that screen. One of the things that the developers need to fix is that you can't, right now, I don't know how the date is being sorted. So if I look at the date, I got 2011 and then 2021 and then 22 and then 20. So the default sort is supposed to be by date and time. I can't make that happen right now, so that's on their list of things to fix. The work status indicator cache, or the WSI cache, is what determines these check marks down here. And because I've pretty much worked everything, this is my log. You can see in some cases some non-green there. This is probably 2 meter QSOs, so I've not worked those countries, but you can see that if you ever have any questions about how that data got, or why that is what it is, there's a cache viewer where you can view any of those values across the different WSI types. So the green ones are confirmed, the yellow ones are worked, and the ones that are neither, the two. So these are all coded values. You don't have to worry about that. But green, yellow, and blank are the equate to the green, yellow, and red. We just didn't want to fill the screen full of red. It's very much similar to the awards matrix, but has a little bit of a different purpose, because when the work stat or the QSOs come through, they'll be looked up in this table. And right, so I mean, like I said, this is my log, so I've worked most everything, but this is why you can see this stuff. Every time if you made a change to a QSL, so I'm going to open this one, I'm going to go to the QSL tab, and I'm going to change this receive to yes, or if I did a download from Logbook of the World or whatever, And when I click OK, you're going to see that the WSI cache will update in real time. So it's going to update like that, and then that'll go away. That's what's going on there. I'm going to, I disconnected from the DX cluster, so I'm going to connect again. And when I do, you'll see the band map populate over here. So this is another thing that's not done. I want the band map to look different, and we don't need these sliders on it. And so this needs to be cleaned up. And so that's that piece. We're going to add an @no column for the work status indicators. Like, so for example, here in country, we've got mode, band, and country. The country is basically the @no, or it equates to DXCC mixed. We'll probably change that column to A, meaning @no, and then the all the other WSIs like CQ zone, ITU zone, grids, and so on will also, in states, counties, will also have an @no indicator there as well. And so that would be helpful for people that are, chasing their first country. Well, we already have country, but it'll also give you the ability to filter it. So there will be an @no column over here that you can select for filter, as well as one that you can select here for alarms. So if you're working on your first of something, you'll be able to get to it from there. And another thing that's happening that they'll fix is, right now, if I go down through the DX cluster here and I click on a station, it'll disconnect. So we got to keep it connected. But another thing to notice is it now puts the image in the lookup pane, and then you have these tables that are a lot easier to read when you're trying to figure out whether you've worked a particular station. So here's the call sign, or the station I've never worked in before on any band or mode. But if I come down here, I can see who he is. And for Indonesia, if I look down here, I can see that I've confirmed them on digital on almost every band except 6 and 160, where I've not worked them yet. I've confirmed them on phone on 20, 15, 12, and 10. And then on CW on 40 and 20. And then you see the same thing for the IOTA. If I clicked on a different one, I'm looking for one that has some yellow check mark or yellow yield signs, but I've confirmed most everything. But let me go and see if I can find one that I've not confirmed. And okay, so here's where for China, I've worked them on 15 meters but not confirmed. And on digital, I've worked them on 6 but not confirmed. I'd sure like to get that confirmation, because that was a tough one to get. Anyway, so that's what's going on here. It's really handy when you get the pictures there, and you get, if they've got pictures. Here's a case where they probably don't have a picture on QRZ.com, but I could just change to a different one and probably get one that's got a picture here in a second. There we go. So, hey Charles. So you can see here, I've actually worked him before on, I confirmed him on digital on 10 meters. So good to see you in person there, bud. And then this is US. So on CW, for all these years, I've worked stations on CW and 17, but on 30 and 17 CW, but I've never confirmed them. So I need to get those confirmations done. And then we've got to get the awards tracking completed. I could launch it, but it's not going to work right now. So that still needs to be done. And once those things are done, we're basically ready for beta. So there's not a lot of work to do here, but all of what you're looking at here is a whole completely different code set. So we reused the C++, but the actual layout and the visualizations have completely been recoded. And we intentionally wanted to leave it looking like the current versions. We don't want to change the look of it. We like the look of it, and most people do. But we're going to make it easier to use. For example, if I went into the options here and I needed to find out what does all this stuff mean, I can click this question mark, and it should take me to the page of the manual online that explains what that particular section of help is. If I went over to a different tab, this will be a different link to a completely different section of help. So that'll be nice, because if you get in a particular screen and you don't know exactly what to do with it, all you have to do is click the question mark and it'll take you right to the instructions on how to configure that. Now, over time, by the time version 7 comes around, there will be a consolidated configuration screen for all of the apps. So you won't have to do some configurations in one app and other configurations in another app. There'll just be one screen with probably lots of tabs that you can kind of go through and not have to hunt through different applications to get there. One of the examples is location. So if you set your location here, that would be in My Station. If you set your location here, or let me put it this way: if you failed to set your location here, and then you go to look at it in the Rotor app or the satellite app, you'll find that you're in the central Atlantic Ocean somewhere. So you got to come back into Logbook and do that. But with the consolidated configuration app, there won't be any hunting for it. It'll all be in one place. So that's pretty handy. That's where we're at. A lot of people will say, and by the way, you see that down here, that's where that little icon is, because that's not done yet. But you'll find that, first of all, we're working really hard on this. We want to get this done as quickly as possible, but we also want it to be right when it's done. And so they have to get it past me first, and then we have to put it past the beta testers and so on. And once that happens, we may have an open beta and allow other people to use it and try it before we actually do the full release. If we do that, it'll be done similar to the way WSJTX does it, where that'll be a beta that's available for a certain period of time, and then it'll time out, and then we'll go to the permanent release. So that's where we are. No excuses. This is taking too long. And I appreciate that, and I know that a lot of people are anxious to see it out. I'm anxious to see it out because there's a lot of things that I want to do in this release, and a lot of things that I think are going to be really, really cool. And when we get this done, Logbook's the toughest one. We've already started on some of the things with regards to rig control, and let me see if I can pull something up, and I'll show you something. If I can drag this over, I don't know if I can or not. It's not going to let me. Hang on, let me try something here. There we go. Hopefully that's that we can see that. So this is a screenshot from something we call the HRD Rig Builder, and what Rig Builder will enable the staff to do and enable us to do is to build radios and outside of code. So right now all the radios are coded into rig control, which is why you don't see a separate option right now for the FT710 or the K4. And for those, you can use the 991A or the K3 respectively, and it works just fine. I did a video on this here pretty recently. So anyway, but this will enable us to create the files that you'll be able to consume via download. So for example, if Yaesu, once we get this done, if Yaesu releases a new radio, we can release the rig control parameters for that radio within 24 hours of the radio becoming available. So that's pretty handy, and it'll enable us to get radios published right away rather than having to wait for a developer to add them. So that's something that's coming. So work's already started on that. We're real happy about that. So we've already made a lot of progress towards rig control, but right now Logbook is our focus, and we're working as hard as we can to get it done. I won't make any promises about when it'll be released, but we're kind of on a month-to-month basis right now with the beta team to get this done. And if there's anything else to report, then I'm happy to get it out to you. So for now, 73, and we hope to see you on the air soon. Bye-bye.